Hello, and welcome to the Colorado Health Foundation's Open Funding webinar. My name is Amy Latham, and I'm the Vice President of Philanthropy here at the Foundation. Let's go ahead and get started. Today, I'll start by providing information about the Foundation and then go into detail about our open funding for the October 15th deadline. We have three types of funding for our upcoming deadline: funding opportunities, our responsive grants program, and rapid response. I'll walk through each of these in detail. Before I do that, I want to share just a little bit of information about the Foundation and what informs and drives our work. Here at the Foundation, our mission is to improve the health of Coloradans. We work towards our mission by being singularly focused on helping Coloradans live their healthiest lives by advancing opportunities to pursue good health and achieve health equity. We work through grant making, policy advocacy, strategic private investments, and convening, all to drive change. We provide nearly $100 million in grants and investments annually to meet the health needs of communities throughout all of Colorado's 64 counties. Although we have significant resources, I should say that demand for funding always exceeds our available resources. So typically at each grant deadline, funding is highly competitive. At the Foundation, we have three cornerstones upon which our work is based and that we really expect to see in the work of our partners. First, we serve Coloradans who have low incomes and or who have historically had less power or privilege. Second, we are informed by the community and those we exist to serve. And finally, everything that we do is done with the intent of creating health equity. Our organizational strategy is designed with equity at the heart of our work. Why? Because lack of opportunity, poverty, racism, these are all key drivers of health challenges experienced by Coloradans, their families, and communities across the state. Because of this, it is essential that every step we take creates fair opportunities for those for whom health is furthest out of reach. We believe that health equity exists when there are no unnecessary, avoidable, unfair, unjust, or systemically caused differences in health status. Our organizational strategy is designed to bring health and reach for all Coloradans by strengthening bodies, minds, and communities in the fight against unfair and avoidable differences in health. Our work is divided into four focus areas: maintaining healthy bodies, nurturing healthy minds, strengthening community health, and championing health equity. We also fund cross-cutting efforts that address multiple focus areas at once. We generally make grants to two types of organizations: Colorado organizations classified as tax exempt under Section 501c3 of the Federal Tax Code, and Colorado public agencies, including state and local governments. Please note that if a public support test requirement to retain public charity status applies to your organization as a public charity grantee of the Colorado Health Foundation, it is essential that you ensure that the grant your organization receives will not cause it to lose its status as a publicly supported charity. And we encourage you to contact a tax advisor if you have any questions about your status as a publicly supported charity. The Foundation does not award grants to organizations that willfully discriminate against a particular class of individuals. To be eligible for funding, organizations must abide by all applicable local, state, and federal anti-discrimination laws in hiring, employment practices, and when providing services. Generally, the Foundation does not make grants to or for the following: individuals, programs that require membership in a certain religion or advance a particular religious faith, for-profit organizations or programs operated by or for the benefit of for-profit organizations, debt retirement, fundraising events, or endowments. The Foundation's intent is to encourage a diverse funding base in order to strengthen the financial health and sustainability of nonprofit organizations that we fund. In 2015, we set guidelines to ensure that an organization is not excessively dependent on Foundation funding. In general, we work to ensure that the annual grant disbursement from the Foundation does not exceed 25% of an organization's total annual expense budget. For those organizations receiving more than one grant from the foundation, the guideline is 30% of the annual expense budget. These thresholds are considered when grant proposals are reviewed, understanding that at times the foundation may decide to go above these guidelines. In these instances, foundation staff will work with the organization to ensure that future diversified funding sources are being considered and planned for by the organizations. For fiscal partnerships, this guideline does not apply to fiscal sponsors, but to the sponsored organizations. The Foundation makes grants through our Funding Opportunities, Responsive Grants Program, and Rapid Response Funding. Our grant funding is designed to offer flexibility to applicants seeking funding to support the work of their organization. Our funding opportunities focus on specific needs aligned with a particular priority within our focus areas. These vary for each funding deadline. Applicants will be required to address detailed criteria specific to that funding opportunity. Grant funding is highly competitive within the pool of applicants for each individual funding opportunity. Our Responsive Grants Program is for your best ideas that could help us achieve impact within our focus areas, but that don't fit within one of our funding opportunities. This program is intended to respond to an urgent community need, address emerging opportunities, test innovative approaches, or implement proven programs. Grant funding is highly competitive within the pool of applicants who apply for responsive grants within a funding cycle. At each funding deadline, we will identify specific objectives for our responsive grants programs, and these may change from deadline to deadline. Finally, our rapid response funding supports short-term advocacy initiatives. There is no deadline for rapid response grants. We accept these applications on a rolling basis. The Foundation has 3 application deadlines every year: February 15th, June 15th, and October 15th. Applications must be submitted by 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the day of the deadline. When the deadline falls on a weekend or a holiday, please submit your application by 5 p.m. on the next business day. Now we will review our funding types and open funding for our October 15th, 2018 deadline. In our Maintain Healthy Bodies focus area, we are ensuring that all Coloradans have access to high-quality comprehensive primary care when and where they need it, and that children can be safe and active in a fun way every day. Our funding opportunities open for the October 15th deadline include capital infrastructure for comprehensive primary care, which supports shovel or implementation-ready capital infrastructure projects that aim to increase access to comprehensive primary care services in rural and low-income communities throughout Colorado. Next, we are also supporting capital infrastructure for intergenerational physical activity, which supports capital projects that aim to promote creative and intergenerational physical activities that are accessible and open to the public for individuals of all ages and abilities. Our Change Capital funding opportunity is by invitation only and supports nonprofit primary care clinics and centers that are interested in deeply exploring and assessing their business models and capital structures with our partner, the Nonprofit Finance Fund, to build financial strength and adaptability. This invitation-only funding opportunity is open to nonprofit primary care clinics and centers that have previously attended an NFF financial leadership workshop. And finally, our out-of-school time physical activity funding opportunity supports organizations to provide quality, structured physical activity in out-of-school time settings, including before school, after school, and summer programs, to children and youth ages 4 to 18 through safe and affordable programs. In our Nurture Healthy Minds focus area, we are addressing the behavioral health needs of our state by fostering the social emotional development of children, equipping teens and young adults with resiliency skills, and giving adults with mental health disorders and substance abuse challenges continued support on their recovery journey. For our October 15th deadline, we are interested in applications for our funding opportunity that supports healthy minds and youth resiliency. This funding opportunity aims to build social emotional skills and create supportive environments to improve resiliency for young people facing barriers to mental well-being. Through this funding opportunity, the Foundation seeks to enhance young people's social emotional skills and positive relationships so they have greater ability to cope and thrive despite adversity. In our Strength and Community Health focus area, we are investing in quality food and affordable housing to create a foundation for which communities can develop locally specific solutions that lead to health equity. Our funding opportunity open for the October 15th deadline is Activating Places and Spaces Together, which supports locally defined, place-specific efforts to get people outdoors and actively engaged in their neighborhoods together. The goal of the funding opportunity is to help activate existing infrastructure in public places that contributes to a community's overall health through residential usage and positive experiences. Our Champion Health Equity focus area supports individuals and organizations as they develop and strengthen the skills necessary to advocate for and promote a more equitable health environment, one where our policies reflect our priorities and health is in reach for all Coloradans. For the October 15th deadline, we are launching a new Amplifying Health Advocacy funding opportunity. It will support a range of advocacy activities across the state of Colorado that will enable all Coloradans to live their healthiest lives. Through providing general operating support, technical assistance, and opportunities for convening, the Foundation intends to contribute to a stronger and more interconnected ecosystem of advocates across the state who are working to advance health equity in Colorado. The Foundation also invests in two signature cross-cutting efforts, Healthy Schools and Locally Focused Work. These long-term efforts require extended focus and investment, which means we are careful to take on only a few of these at a time. For our October 15th deadline, we have one cross-cutting funding opportunity available, Healthy Schools, Local Planning and Implementation. This funding opportunity supports rural or frontier districts and/or charters with students most in need, where 50% or more of students are free or reduced price lunch eligible, to develop and implement a community-informed action plan that provides students with increased health opportunities throughout the school day. It will provide up to 2 years of funding to eligible entities to develop and implement comprehensive health and wellness plans that will bring health in reach for Colorado youth. Our Responsive Grants program is designed for you to propose your best ideas to achieve impact with one or more of our focus areas. The program is intended to respond to an urgent community need, address emerging opportunities, test innovative approaches or breakthrough ideas, or implement proven programs. At each funding deadline, we will identify specific objectives for our Responsive Grants program, which may change from deadline to deadline. We leave the language within these objectives intentionally broad so as to encourage you to think outside the box and share your best ideas with us. Grant funding within the Responsive Grants program is highly competitive across all the objectives open for the Responsive Grants program in a funding cycle. To be considered for funding, organizations must align with the Foundation's cornerstones that address who we serve, health equity, and being community informed, meet the Foundation's policies and guidelines, and meet at least one of the objectives listed here on this slide. These are adult recovery supports, support non-traditional programs and technology-based recovery supports for adults in need to ensure that they have support close to home that makes recovery possible. Caregiver resources. Ensure that formal, informal, and familial caregivers have access to resources and supports that improves their skills to have strong and positive relationships with young children in Colorado ages 0 to 6, so that they have stable, responsive relationships with at least one caring adult. Community food programs. Increase the efficiency and effectiveness of collaborative, community-level efforts to reduce food insecurity, so Coloradans have healthy food and won't go hungry. Food program participation. Increase participation in public food assistance programs among Coloradans who are eligible for them, so they have healthy food and won't go hungry. And finally, housing financial assistance. Increase Coloradans' purchasing power for housing by improving and better targeting programs that provide financial assistance for renters and home buyers to reduce the number of low-income Coloradans who spend more than 30% of their incomes on housing. Finally, I will just mention our Advocacy Rapid Response Funding Program, which aims to fund short-term advocacy initiatives, which are generally 3 to 9 months in length, that ensure Coloradans' interests and priorities are front and center in shaping policy decisions that will have long-term impacts on creating health equity in Colorado. Rapid response grants should focus on time-sensitive public policy advocacy opportunities in Colorado, reflect one or more of our organizational priorities that aim to advance health equity in Colorado, and include each of the following features: reflect our cornerstones, have a strategic approach, demonstrate time sensitivity, have an advocacy focus, and demonstrate that they are supported by the community. Applications for rapid response funding are accepted on a rolling basis. For more information about eligibility and how to apply, please see our website. It's important to us that you have a lot of ways to stay informed about our work and that we have ways to stay connected to what's happening in your communities and the work of your organizations. We encourage you to contact our program staff using our interactive online map or the program officer contact information associated with the open funding that we just went through. I also encourage you to join our mailing list so that you can receive emails when funding opportunities and other funding programs open, as well as other important updates from the foundation. And of course, please follow us on our social media channels. This concludes today's webinar. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. You see my contact information right there on the screen, or it's also available on our website with any questions about what we've covered in today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us as we work to bring health and reach for all Coloradans.